Hello and welcome to the second part of this How to Add Impact with HDR Technique tutorial. Now what we're going to do is take a look at how to adjust the colours within the picture just to really draw out the features and draw attention to the eyes within the picture. So first thing we're going to do is just desaturate the entire image. We're going to do that just using a hue saturation adjustment layer. So if we go over to our adjustment layers, we just left click on that, down to hue saturation, and we're going to just move the saturation slider over to the left and down to about -30, and you can just see the desaturation effect that's happening all on the skin tones there, on the background, and actually on his clothing as well. So we'll just click OK. Now what we want to do is just to draw out the colour of the eyes. So what we're going to do is just duplicate our background copy layer. So we've got background copy layer 2. Going to drag and drop that above our hue saturation layer. Suddenly you'll see the colour come back into his face. And before we go on, we need to just select the eyes. So go over to your tool palette on the left and left click your lasso tool. Shortcut for that is just L on your keyboard. Now we're going to zoom into the picture, so go Control or Option plus, and that'll zoom right into his eyes. If his eyes suddenly appear off screen, just hold down your space bar, left click, and then you can move the image around. And now what we want to do is just very carefully just select his eyes. So if you just left click and then just freehand just draw around the eye. Try not to get any of the eyelid in. And then once we've done that, we want to select the second eye. But before you go and click, if you do click, it'll deselect the right eye. So go up to your options at the top, go add to selection, and now we can just draw in and draw around the left eye. And if you miss any areas out, we can very quickly just go back in and just make a little more of a selection. And if you get in some of the eyelid like that, if we just go to subtract from selection, we can now just quickly draw around, and that'll take that little area of selection out of our final selection. Now that we've done that, we're just going to very carefully refine the edge. So if we click Refine Edge, which you'll find in the top tool palette, you'll see the red mask appear around the unselected area, and you can toggle between the standard display or the masked display just with the two buttons just down here at the bottom. Now we want to take smooth to about 4. We want to only feather this very slightly, so I just feather that by 1 pixel, and we'll leave contract and expand alone. So now just click OK. And what we want to do now is to create a new hue saturation layer that will just affect the eyes. So if we go up to our adjustment layers, down to hue saturation, and we're going to boost the saturation by +30. And as we do that, we can really see the colours coming out of the eyes there. And as I click OK, you'll see that the effect of that hue saturation boost has only applied itself to the eyes and has actually left all the skin areas as they were. But at the moment we've still got the original saturation of the skin tones, and obviously what we want to do is to make sure that our original desaturation hue saturation layer has an effect on the picture. And we can do that by using the mask from the hue saturation 2 layer to mask out almost all of the background copy 2 layer, everything except for the eyes. And we do that by dragging the hue saturation layer firstly below the background copy layer, then holding down Alt, and we actually clip the hue saturation layer to the background copy 2 layer. And as we do that, you'll suddenly see the skin tones desaturate and the saturation of the eyes suddenly increases. So what we've done is we've used the mask from the hue saturation 2 layer to mask out all but the eyes of the background copy 2 layer. So we're almost there now, and the last thing that we want to do is just to adjust our final levels. So if we double click on our levels layer at the top, and all that we've used this levels layer for so far is just to sort out the color balance, And now what I want to do is just to increase the shadows. So I'm going to take that slider right up to about 20, and I want to just reduce the highlights as well. So I'm going to take that down to about 220. Now if I click before and after, you can really see how that really helps with the HDR look to the picture and also the overall impact. So just click OK, and now I can flatten down all of my layers and I'll have my final HDR technique portrait. So if I hold down Shift, click on background copy, making sure that I've got the top levels 1 layer selected, then go Control or Option E, and that'll flatten down all of those layers into one. So there is how to add impact with an HDR technique, and also how to utilise different saturations of colour to really enhance the portrait.